Hello, welcome to my channel. You can call me Cloud. This video is a reflection of the art that I created in 2022. 2022 was the year I returned to doing traditional art after a 5-year hiatus. I decided to give painting landscapes and environments a chance this year after mostly painting portraits for the majority of my time as an artist. I started my year with this sketchbook painting. I wanted to paint this because of all the colorful flowers, and I knew it would be a challenge to figure out how to paint the flowers and blades of grass without it looking too overwhelming. The grassy field in the background reminded me of the field in Howl's Moving Castle. The Studio Ghibli style is a massive inspiration to me, so this felt like a great way to start out the year. I'm happy with how this turned out and was surprised at how easily I could paint all the flowers. I thought I would have ended up getting lost in them more because I did not have much experience with landscapes at this time. In the next piece, I was heavily drawn to the vibrant colors in the reference photo, and I wanted to enhance them. The biggest challenge with this piece was getting the bike to look like a bike. The video that I made of the final piece is still one of my favorite videos to this day.
Round two.
Although, I learned that with this piece, the more clips that I take of the painting process, the better. After doing a few paintings, I wanted to challenge myself to something larger. I also needed to invest in some watercolor paper since the previous pieces that I completed were in my sketchbook. I remember starting this painting and feeling like it was going to be impossible to do. As I tackled each piece, everything started to make sense in my head. I surprised myself the most with the path. I had no idea how I was going to paint this, and as I started to break down each shape in my head, everything was coming together. But one problem I had with this piece was the paper warping, so the horizon was not as straight as I wanted it to be. I had the idea to include my cat Sesame in this painting of a cafe entrance. She loves sunbathing, so I know she would love to snuggle up on a chair like this on a warm day. With this painting, I did a lot of planning because in my previous paintings, I was struggling with perspective a little bit. I did 3 sketches in my sketchbook and 1 color study. I found the sketches gave me a lot more confidence once I moved over to the final piece, but I wasn't finding the color study that helpful, probably because I did it wrong. This painting was a lot of fun to work on and is still one of my favorites that I did of the whole year. I loved the challenge of trying new things in the painting, such as the window reflections. I also tried out doing a yellow watercolor underpainting for the first time with this painting, which I really liked doing. One thing I noticed myself struggling with is filling the entire page with paint, and the underpainting really helped me with that. I started on this piece, but I haven't finished it yet. I have been going through a hard time this year in relation to some family related struggles. Painting the scene from my childhood was supposed to help me process some events that happened to me as a kid. This painting was very hard, not only because it was my first oil painting in years, but it was just very emotional to get through. I haven't touched this painting since May, but I still want to finish it in the future. For this painting, I had a very specific vision, and much like the cafe painting, I did sketches in my sketchbook to help plan. The hardest part of the planning process was to figure out what all the garbage was on the floor of the living room. I went onto my iPad to label each of the pieces in the painting and thought about objects that I remember from my childhood. My memory of my childhood feels very dark and blue, so that is the feeling that I wanted to portray in this painting. In May, the total lunar eclipse happened, and seeing the moon in person like that really inspired me to paint it. And then painting the eclipse really inspired me to paint some of the hundreds of photos that I have of the sky. I started the sky series with the intent of making a calendar. My thought was that a calendar is almost like a mini gallery to display your work, which is perfect for a series. I was very happy with how the series came out, and watching everything come together made me feel really proud. I used to feel so insecure about my ability to paint landscapes when I first started doing art, and each painting felt like a little problem that was getting easier and easier to solve with each one. The whole series consisted of 15 gouache paintings, and my biggest mistake with these paintings was carelessly spraying the final pieces with water to flatten them. Most of the paintings ended up fine, but I had to paint over my favorite sky again because there were too many watermarks. I was in a rush trying to get all the paintings flat quickly, and I paid the price for it. I started this painting specifically looking to paint water, and when I found the reference photo, I knew I had to paint this in oils. I wanted to try working with burnt sienna as the underpainting. I love the effect of the bright underpainting getting covered by the blues and greens. Painting of the water went a lot easier than I thought it would with the oil paints, and it was so satisfying to watch the background come together. When I first saw the reference photo, I loved how the sun was shining down on the plants in the background. One thing about Sesame is that she loves cardboard and cardboard boxes. Going into this piece, I didn't have much of a plan for the background, and I just thought I would figure it out as the time went on. I painted this while I was streaming on Twitch, and as the time got closer, I was leaning towards a blue background to complement the orangey browns in the painting. Someone in my chat suggested that I painted clouds because I am cloud. So it's the obvious choice. I love that idea, and I love this painting, although it looks kind of like a memorial piece for Sesame. But she's very much alive and well, so it feels a little wrong to display this painting in my house. Out of the whole year, I think I'm most proud of this painting. I get a lot of my inspiration from the Studio Ghibli movies. The way that the artists work on the backgrounds for the films have this perfect balance of detail and color that makes me want to be a better artist. I thought there's no better way to test out my skill than I paint my own Studio Ghibli style painting of Sesame. Everything about this painting was its own challenge. The background needed to have just the right colors and not too much detail. I have such a big problem with putting too much detail in my paintings, where I don't mean to because I get lost in what I'm working on. I had to keep actively reminding myself, do not go overboard. I found this reference on Unsplash, and I took a bunch of photos of Sesame to use as inspiration. Drawing Sesame in a cartoon/anime style was the hardest part for me. I needed to nail her personality in just one still image while inside of the Studio Ghibli style world. I did so many embarrassing sketches of her until I finally got down her correct size and expression. After I finished the paintings of my cat, I took a break from doing art. During this time, I decided I wanted to put my focus on YouTube. And this painting was the first painting video that I shared on YouTube. I just got new nice brushes and I wanted to try out my liner brush. This grass is the perfect subject to test out this new brush. Even in my TikTok caption, I wrote, I just really wanted to paint some grass. The grass was so much fun to paint, and this liner brush is now my most used brush while painting with gouache. With this next piece, I had the goal to paint a cottage type building so I could paint a lot of surrounding nature. I love all the different shades of green in this painting. There were a lot of areas that I had no idea how I was going to paint them. I pushed through and somehow I did it. I was very pleased with the end product. I didn't want to go overboard with the amount of details I put and have the painting be overwhelming to look at. I wanted the viewer's eyes to be drawn to where the main structures are first. I think I could have put just a little less detail on the plant that's on the left side, but I don't think it's overtaking the painting too much. While I was working on this piece, I was reminded how much watching movies has an effect on how I see my art. For example, I was watching Shrek when I first started to get into the painting. And from then on, I could not stop feeling like I was in Shrek's swamp. Even looking at the painting now, the Shrek soundtrack is playing in my head. It's funny to look back on these paintings that have different memories attached to them depending on what was going on in my life during that time. I obviously have an obsession with clouds and the sky, and to feed that obsession, I had to paint this giant cloud. The canvas is 24 inches by 36 inches, which is the biggest oil painting I have done in a very long time. I could have definitely used some bigger brushes while blocking in the sky, but I was stubborn and did the entire thing with a small brush. This cloud is so large and complicated. I just keep getting so lost while I work on it. So far, I have only been able to work for small periods of time per session because of how complicated it is. I find oil paints so difficult to work with because of the process of setting up and cleaning up, which makes me not want to work with oils all the time. Although I love how oil paints move on the canvas and the end product of oil paintings, so it makes any struggles I face worth it. I'm very pleased with how this painting's coming together as I get further into it and see my vision of the giant cloud come to life. I can't exactly say 2022 was an easy year for me. It feels like I had a lot of downs and was really only trying to survive. Um, I was really looking forward to the Halloween season to do some spooky paintings, and I even had a couple planned that I wanted to work on. But as October came around, I completely lost all motivation to paint. I called it an art block in my finished product video, but it was definitely a little more than that. And when Halloween was finally here, I was just done. I needed to paint something, so I found a reference image that I could even find the slightest motivation to paint and just went with it. I made a cozy setup on my couch to get started on this painting and watched a ton of Halloween movies. It was really hard for me to get through this painting, especially at the ugly stage of the painting. I pushed through all the difficult feelings and made a painting that I really like, and it got me out of the art block that I was in. This is another painting that I started this year, but haven't finished yet. Since I struggled so much with the texture of the canvas board on the forest waterfall piece, I wanted to make the canvas as smooth as I could. I think maybe my oil paints could be a little low quality because I was blocking in the first layer and it was very thin, not as thick as I was hoping. But with the second layer, The paint was finally laying on the canvas the way that I wanted. There's still a lot to get done with this piece, so I don't have a lot to say about it yet. As 2023 is just getting started, I have a lot of goals to look forward to. One obvious goal would be to finish the paintings that I talked about during this video that aren't complete yet. I am not sure if I want to finish that living room painting quite yet, but we'll see how that changes in the future. My main goal for 2023 is to play around with color more in the way that I did with this painting. That is one of the main reasons why I admire the work of Studio Ghibli so much. The way that the colors are emphasized makes the scenes look so magical, yet it feels so familiar. I want to be able to emphasize the small things as a way to appreciate the world around me. I love the way animated movies, series, and even video games romanticize nature and the world around us. I am definitely someone that enjoys staring out the window on a long car ride. Overall, I feel like I'm headed in the right direction that I want to be in for my art. And as cheesy as it sounds, I can't wait to create more art in 2023. And that's it for now. Until next time.